Okay, so I went down a small rabbit hole recently, and I decided that I'm going to share it with you. So, I was listening to that Kanye West worship song that a lot of Christians lately have been playing on TikTok called God Is. And I thought it was such a beautiful song. And I was like, wow, like God can really just use anybody and help other people to follow Christ using that one person that nobody would think that he would use. And it got me thinking about the story of Jesus meeting the Samaritan woman at the well. And you can read it for yourself if you'd like. It's in John chapter 4. It's from like verses 1 through 42. And basically, Jesus meets this Samaritan woman at a well and has a conversation with her, reveals himself to be the Messiah, tells her that he knows everything about her, and she goes on to share her ministry of Jesus Christ with everyone, and everyone who knows her converts to Christianity pretty much because of her testimony. And you know how Jesus never does anything coincidentally? Like, there's a reason for everything he says and does, and you just have to find it. So I was like, well, why were wells important in Bible times? I was like, there has to be some significance in the fact that he meets her at a well. Wells were often a social gathering place for people, particularly women, to go and grab water together. Wells were the primary source of drinking water for dry, barren regions, serving as a vital lifeline for communities. Access to a well meant access to life, because the human body can only go 3 to 5 days without water. And the last significant fact is that people would potentially meet their romantic partners there. I mean, who were all the men in the Bible that met their wives at the well before Jesus came? Isaac's wife Rebecca was found at a well. Jacob met his wife Rachel at a well while she was watering her father's flock. Moses met his wife Zipporah at a well while she was watering her father's flock. There has to be some sort of significance in that, right? So then I was like, well, who is this woman that Jesus is even speaking to? The first thing that we know about her is that she is a Samaritan. So I was like, well, who are the Samaritans? And why did Jews not like Samaritans? Because she says, like, you're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan, you're pretty much not supposed to be talking to me. Samaritans were a group of people that the Jews did not like. They hated, they discriminated against them. They judged them very harshly. They called them half-breeds. Jews even refused to travel through Samaria to go to wherever they were going. They were viewed as impure because their ancestors intermarried with foreign immigrants and worshipped foreign gods. So that's the first thing we know about her. We also know that she was unmarried, living with a man that was not her husband, which at the time was a huge no-no. She was married 5 times in the past. Everyone knew that she was living in sin, living a sinful life, and she was pretty much shunned by her community. I mean, all the women used to grab water together, and she would go at a time where no other women would be there because she was so judged by other women. She didn't want to be around them, and they didn't want to be around her. So by all means necessary, this is not the kind of person that the Jews thought that their Messiah would encounter, right? This entire situation is very symbolic because the sinful Samaritan woman represents that Jesus didn't come just for the Jews. He came for the sinful outcast of society, Gentiles too. The people that on earth could seemingly never be loved or forgiven. In Matthew 9:15, Jesus describes himself as the bridegroom. In Revelations 21, verses 2 and 9, New Jerusalem is described as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. So Jesus, our bridegroom, met his bride, the sinful outcast of society, Gentile, at a well, and she went on to water her father's flock with living water. The good news of the Messiah, Jesus Christ.